Hello my fantastic community, welcome back to my storytelling channel. Today's story is inspired from a true story my father told me as a child, though adapted. According to my late dad, this story happened many years before he was born and was passed down to him by his own father. This story, titled The Betrayal, tells of a sacrilege that happened somewhere in the eastern part of Nigeria many donkey years ago, before you and I were born. Amakpo village was a place of deep traditions where lineage and honor were sacred. Dimkpa, a vibrant and capable 28-year-old man, was next in line to become the chief of the village. Known for his strength, intelligence, and compassion, he was beloved by the villagers, who eagerly anticipated his reign. But within his own family, jealousy festered. Dimkpa's uncle, Nzewi, was a man driven by greed and resentment. To him, Dimkpa's ascent meant the end of his control over the wealth and power he secretly hoarded. For years, Nzewi schemed, waiting for an opportunity to eliminate Dimkpa. That opportunity came on the eve of a grand festival. Nzewi, under the guise of celebration, lured Dimkpa away from the safety of the village. Dimkpa trusted his uncle, never suspecting the betrayal that awaited him. In the dead of the night, Nzewi arranged for mercenaries to ambush Dimkpa, binding him in chains and selling him to slave traders who transported him far away from Amakpo. Dimkpa's world turned upside down. Once destined to lead his people, he now found himself a slave in a distant land. But even in the depths of despair, Dimkpa's spirit remained unbroken. He resolved to survive and adapt. For 8 long years, Dimkpa worked tirelessly, earning the respect of his masters through his intelligence, humility, and diligence. His captors recognized his value, granting him more responsibilities beyond the typical duties of a slave. In time, Dimkpa's perseverance paid off. His masters granted him freedom, recognizing his extraordinary character. Though free, Dimkpa was far from home and had no means to return. He decided to rebuild his life in the foreign land. Leveraging the skills and the connections he had developed during his years of servitude, Dimkpa ventured into trade. He started small, but his honesty and hard work quickly brought him success. 3 years later, Dimkpa had amassed so much wealth beyond anything he could have imagined. He built a thriving business empire, employing hundreds and living a life of comfort. Yet, the memory of his betrayal lingered. He longed for justice, but chose not to return to Amakpo. The pain of his uncle's treachery and the uncertainty of his welcome held him back. Instead, he focused on his new life, using his resources to help others in need. Back in Amakpo, Nzewi had seized power in Dimkpa's absence. He manipulated the elders and cunningly crowned himself king, spreading lies about Dimkpa's disappearance. Under his rule, the village suffered. Nzewi's greed led to heavy taxes and the hoarding of communal resources. The once prosperous village began to decline, but no one dared challenge him. His power was absolute, or so it seemed. In his 9th year as king, Nzewi's health began to fail. A mysterious illness consumed him, leaving him weak and bedridden. No healer in the land could heal him or cure him. Desperate, Nzewi summoned the village prophets. Their words chilled him to the core. "You have wronged an innocent man. Your sickness is a curse born of betrayal. Until you make amends, you will suffer and your kingdom will fall." Nzewi's heart gripped with fear. He knew exactly who the prophets referred to. Dimkpa. He had hoped the young man was lost forever, perhaps even dead. But whispers of a wealthy man in a distant land who bore Dimkpa's name had reached his ears. Reluctantly, Nzewi gathered his cabinet chiefs and set out to find his nephew, driven by desperation and guilt. The journey was long and arduous, but they eventually arrived in the town where Dimkpa now lived. The man they found was unrecognizable from the youth they had betrayed. Dimkpa stood tall and confident, dressed in fine clothes and surrounded by loyal allies. His success radiated from him, but so did his dignity and wisdom. When Nzewi and the chiefs approached, Dimkpa's face hardened. The sight of his uncle stirred painful memories. Nzewi, now frail and humbled, fell to his knees before Dimkpa, confessing his betrayal. "I sold you into slavery out of greed and envy," he admitted, tears streaming down his face. "I have suffered for my sins, and I beg for your forgiveness. Without it, I will die and Amakpo will crumble." Dimkpa listened in silence, his expression unreadable. His heart wrestled with conflicting emotions: anger at his uncle's betrayal, sorrow for the suffering of his people, and a deep sense of duty that transcended personal grievances. After a long pause, Dimkpa spoke. "Nzewi, you wronged me in ways that cannot be undone," he said, his voice steady but firm. "You stole my destiny and cost me years of suffering. But I will not let your betrayal define me. I forgive you, not for your sake, but for the sake of my own peace and the well-being of our people. However, forgiveness does not mean there will be no consequences." Dimkpa declared he would not return to Amakpo, for his life had taken a new path. But he sent Nzewi back with a decree. The leadership of the village must be restored to the elders, and the wealth Nzewi had hoarded must be redistributed to rebuild the community. Dimkpa also sent resources to aid the village, ensuring its recovery and prosperity. Nzewi returned to Amakpo, his illness lifting as he fulfilled Dimkpa's conditions. Humbled and broken, he stepped down as king, allowing the village to heal. Though Dimkpa never returned to claim his place as chief, his legacy lived on the reforms he inspired and the hope he restored back to the community. Morals from this story: greed and envy lead to destruction. Nzewi's betrayal brought him temporary power, but ultimately led to his downfall and suffering. Dimkpa's strength, determination, and integrity allowed him to rise above his circumstances and build a new life. Lastly, forgiveness is powerful. By choosing forgiveness, Dimkpa freed himself from the burden of hatred and ensured the healing of his community. What more lessons did you take away from this tale? Even though this incident took place a long time ago, it still has relevance today. Whether it is in our everyday interactions with people we have treated unfairly, or when we've shabbily taken something that is not ours. Kindly put yours in the comment section. Thank you.